Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another Transformers 5 commentary video. In this one, I'm going to be discussing whether the Autobots and humans will be allies in Transformers 5 or will they still be enemies, along with whether or not we could see the Headmasters make an appearance in Transformers 5. And these are initially pretty different topics, but I feel like they could definitely cross over, so I'm going to discuss them both in this video. First up, what about the Autobots and humans' relations? What will they be like in Transformers 5? I think a lot of us assumed that the humans and the Autobots would just be on good terms again in the next film, that was just a conflict for Age of Extinction. I've seen a lot of people kind of present this point of view, and I definitely held it myself. But I definitely think it's worth analyzing. I mean, from what Age of Extinction had told us, it seemed as if it was a division of the government that were specifically targeting the Transformers, and more in particular, were targeting both Autobots and Decepticons. For me, it's been a little while since I watched Age of Extinction all of the way through, so if you guys have any additional comments, you catch anything I might have missed, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and I'll correct it with annotations. But this was the impression I was given, especially in that conversation that Attinger had with that guy who was like coming from the president to get information on what was going on. There were definitely different parts of government that kind of had an idea of what was going on. It seemed as if it were really Harold Attinger's operation. He had Joshua Joyce and Lockdown working with him, but Joshua Joyce really wasn't morally opposed to the Transformers the same way that Attinger and that other shady agent guy were. He was just kind of in there for his own benefit, you know, a scientist doing all of that kind of stuff, and of course Lockdown was killed at the end of Age of Extinction, so he's not going to be involved, and altogether he was just a bounty hunter, so he was just kind of hired arms. He wasn't really part of the human-Autobot conflict. Considering both Attinger and Lockdown are dead, it seems as if there wouldn't be as strong of a resistance against the Transformers. However, we do see in Age of Extinction, through like news reports and billboards, that there are a lot of humans that are still not happy with the Autobots. Now, as the audience, we know that the Autobots are the good guys. However, all of the humans around the globe in Transformers, or even in America, since that's where a lot of the storylines are centralized, you know, they don't have that same point of view. I mean, to really analyze this, a lot of them probably just know them as the alien robots, and they're supposed to be good ones, they're supposed to be bad ones, but they just see the news reports, the destruction, and especially so much of it has happened, you know, basically since the Transformers have arrived. They really don't know the full story, and they really have no way of knowing it. I think it makes sense that they, you know, would have animosity toward the Transformers. Not to get too deep into real-world issues or anything, but let's say that the Transformers did show up on Earth. I mean, comparing it to some of the conflicts we have in our world today, and you know how different news organizations report on them, you know, you could just get different perceptions from everywhere, and from nowhere you're going to get the full story, especially when the government's so involved as they would be with the Transformers. I mean, there's things from back like in World War II that we're just finding out about now, and that people are still, you know, really speculating about. A lot of stuff that's still in the shadows, and definitely with the current wars we have going on, or you know, thoughts about extraterrestrials, that kind of stuff. Even with the whole scenario that happened in Dark of the Moon, where the Autobots kind of pretended to leave, tricked the Decepticons into the humans, then showed up to kind of prove the point that the Decepticons will never go away. I mean, that could probably be skewed in a number of ways too, and you know, a lot of people might have not known the full situation there. All of this to say, I think there could be a really good case made for the fact that the public could still be against the Autobots, and I think you can make a case that the government, the US government, probably governments across the world too, don't like this idea. And on the Autobot side of things, a lot of them might not feel comfortable just aligning themselves with the humans again, you know, with all of the events between Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, and of course in the film, especially without the wisdom of Optimus there. We see Hound isn't all that crazy about humans, probably better than Crosshairs, but Crosshairs definitely has some problems. Drift seems like he can adapt pretty well. You know, he's going to be cautious, but he could come around to trust them again, and you know, Bumblebee's your good guy. I don't think he's never going to give the humans a chance again. He could definitely come around, work with certain ones of them, definitely Cade, but I don't think he's dumb enough to just, trust all of them, especially not the government at this point. A lot of people criticize the movies for not being super technical and consistent, but one thing they kind of have made a point of is that a lot of the Autobots aren't really fond of the humans. They might have a few humans they like, but overall, as a race, society, they're not too crazy about them. Without Optimus's guidance, I'm not seeing them working with the humans so easily. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, I think we have to take into consideration things from a production standpoint as well. I'm not an expert on this. Personal speculations, it seems like they want the films to go in a lighter direction. Having the Autobots and humans opposed, especially in the way they were in Age of Extinction, seems a little bit too dark, in my opinion. From the way that things were left off in the end of Age of Extinction, I think, if anything, logically, there can be a case made for the fact that, the relations between them may even be worse than they were before. Maybe they just don't have a central figure guiding all of the actions against the Autobots anymore, but, overall there's going to be, even more animosity against them. But looking at this on more of a production level, I don't think they're going to want to go that route. As I said, it seems kind of dark, but also they probably don't want it to feel like they're just repeating Age of Extinction over again. I think that there will be a lot of different theories on what the human-Autobot relation is going to be like in the following film. You guys can, of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. My personal take on this, outside of the humans, such as Isabella Monier's character and Kate Yeager, who most likely will be good friends with, whatever Autobot characters we have, I think the general humans will probably have a sort of shady relationship with the Autobots, to put it at best. As I had mentioned earlier in the video, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to see the humans and the government being ready to do anything such as nest operations again. I don't think the Autobots are going to allow themselves to be in confined quarters, with a bunch of humans, as we've seen was often the case in films such as Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen. I just don't think either side is willing to trust each other that much at this point, and nothing that we've seen in Age of Extinction outside of potentially Attinger's death would really help those relations. I also don't think the public has any more reason to trust the Transformers. If anything, what they would see in Age of Extinction might make them trust them less. I mean, they can say, of course, the whole Hong Kong thing was the Viacons and Galvatron's Decepticons, but, things like what happened at the KSI, that was the Autobots. They probably even have footage of that, so the general public, probably aren't going to accept that, like Joshua Joyce had mentioned in the film. They would probably be on his side. Narratively, I think this also makes sense, that, we're not going to have Autobots just killing humans, a full-on war or anything like that, probably not most humans killing Autobots, but we're going to have kind of shady relations, as I think this is one of the things Age of Extinction was trying to set up for the upcoming films. We already know, especially with that ending, with the kind of rebooted cast, that Age of Extinction kind of wants to not only recreate the films in a way, but plan ahead for the future. I don't think the whole storyline with humans versus Autobots was a total fluke or just a one-off thing. If anything, I think they want to go in more of a robots in disguise direction, where we may have the Autobots hiding a lot more of the time and being more covert about their actions and stuff. We might have some humans in the government trying to reach out to them, but overall I think they're going to keep a low profile and not going to be too trusting. Narratively, we also have Optimus say at the end of the film to his Autobots, "Protect this family." Now, I definitely could be wrong about this, but I think what it's supposed to say to the audience is that this family and the Autobots are still in danger from other humans, as of course someone such as Galvatron would be going after the Autobots, but he really has no reason to go after Kate Yeager and his family. However, other humans may have a problem with Autobot sympathizers, so to speak. So those are my thoughts on the human and Autobot relations in general. You guys can of course leave your thoughts on it in the comment section below. Before I finish this video, I want to address something that I feel kind of connects to this topic, and that was mentioned in a comment by user Toyman1976. His question reads, with the focus of the new toy line being on Headmasters, would it be possible to actually have Headmasters in Transformers 5? Now, I'm not saying that they would swing for the fences and go all Brave Maximus, but that would be amazing. Anyway, I think that would be amazing, but I'd settle for Chrome Drone versus Weirdwolf. So, what are your thoughts on this topic? Well, first up, thanks for the suggestion and the comment. Lots of good suggestions from you. And I definitely see that connection between the toy line and the films and the cartoons in the films, furthermore. Personally, I look for hints in the cartoons and the toy lines as to what we could see in the new films. So I think looking at what the Titans Return line is doing definitely makes a lot of sense, because it's probably going to run right up until the Transformers 5 toy line, or might even cross over into it. We'll have to see what goes on there. Basically, due to what I discussed earlier in this video, I don't think we're going to see the Headmasters appear in Transformers 5. For the Headmasters to work really well, you would need the humans and the Autobots on good terms, because from what I understand it, I'm not like an expert on the whole Headmaster thing, but it seems like a very cooperative thing. I don't think the Autobots are ready to go along with that. I think the humans might like the idea because they'd have more involvement in what the Autobots actually do, but I don't think we'd see it for that reason. The Autobots aren't going to be ready for that. Now, of course, in Generation 1, we did have some fungally green aliens operating the heads of certain Decepticons, such as Scorponok, but right now we don't have any of those characters in the film, so I don't think we're going to be seeing any human-sized aliens like operating the heads or anything like that. Maybe if we get that in Transformers 5, Autobots and human relations are improved, maybe there's more of that possibility then. Right now, I'm not seeing it, and like I said, I think with Age of Extinction they were kind of setting up this idea that the humans and the Autobots relations aren't going to be super great in the next few films. They're going to kind of do more of a robots in disguise theme, not referring to the cartoon, just the phrase altogether, for what the Autobots are doing. Now, they could always make Cade and some of the new characters work with the Autobots in sort of a cooperative Headmaster type of way. Personally, it would seem like a bit of a stretch to me to think Cade came up with this technology all on his own, especially that none of the current Autobots seem to be all that tech savvy. But, some people said that Cade seemed way too familiar with the Transformers parts in Age of Extinction, so, maybe they could pull it off. If they kind of used a plot device there, they could get away with, Cade working with the Transformers this way. He's definitely interested in the fight and helping the Autobots, especially because, his daughter's going to be going off to college. What else is he going to have to do? It would make sense. I could see people making an argument for it. I personally think they're going to focus on other concepts rather than the Headmaster idea in the future films. There are a lot of other things they can deal with. I just don't think Headmasters is going to be one of them. Maybe that's just a little bit of personal bias, because while I'm looking forward to the Titans Return line, I think some of the upcoming figures look really cool, some just okay. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Headmaster concept in general, but I know some people really like it. And, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here so it doesn't go on too long. If you guys have any more thoughts on this, you can drop them off in the comment section below. If you have any theories on anything that was discussed in this video, or there was something that I kind of touched on that you would like to hear me talk about more extensively in a future video, then you can drop it off in the comment section below, along with any topics for future videos, whether it be something on Transformers 5, the upcoming toys, the cartoons, whatever it might be, just about anything Transformers related. I'm also doing figure reviews now, so check all of that out, and you can follow me on Twitter if you're interested in that. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.